bound by blood.
In the electrifying world of world wrestling entertainment, eras stand as the pillar of its storied history. Each one is a distant chapter in the grand saga of sports entertainment. From the thunderous roars of the Hulkamania era to the chaos fueled of the Attitude One, these periods not only mark a shift in talent and storytelling, but also reflects the pulse of the society and the ever-evolving taste of the audience. And amidst the seismic shifts, one lineage has risen to prominence, etching its mark into wrestling history. That would be Roman Reigns and the Bloodline era. The fact that his championship run has lasted longer than the entire Attitude Era is simply insane. But more importantly, The Rock and Roman Reigns have changed how storytelling is done in the industry forever and have cemented their dynasty by blending aspects from the past that fans just simply love. And as we all know, currently all fans acknowledge Roman Reigns as the top dog in WWE.
I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief.
With the resurgence of this new Attitude Era, WWE is printing money with The Rock and the Bloodline saga that has dominated the last 4 years, attracting both new audiences and former fans back to the product, as it has that Attitude-esque feeling to it right now, which leads me to explain the history of it all. For one, when The Rock returned to the company earlier this year, he shattered the record for the most watched segments across all social media platforms with 171 million views. 2, when Roman became the tribal chief, he broke records in terms of merchandising sales, and whenever he was on TV, his segments were the most watched on the entire show. And 3, whenever WWE announces that either The Rock or Roman will appear, they've been able to sell out the arenas for several weeks now. So now that The Rock is back in the picture and shockingly turned heel, it made Wrestle 40 a must-watch for wrestling fans around the world. And at this point, no one can deny that the Anoa'i family has ushered in a new era, and the specific moment that started it all is right here.
The overall angle that is responsible for this era is the Bloodline angle, the Bloodline story.
However, we wouldn't have even gotten to this point had both The Rock and Roman not failed in their respective careers.
What?
Yeah, in order for the Bloodline storyline to have played out perfectly, Roman and The Rock had to fail as babyfaces to become the major box office draws they are now. And if you're still confused, let me explain. WWE has always gone through a tough time whenever it's looked for the next face of the company. For example, in the 80s, the company was in a difficult spot when it had to move away from Hulk Hogan, with his replacement meant to be either the Ultimate Warrior or Macho Man. And WWE was fortunate enough to have Stone Cold Steve Austin in the 90s as the top guy, who was perfect to take the brand forward. However, Stone Cold wasn't the only one who sat on the throne. The Rock was also responsible for the success of the Attitude Era, but when he started his initial run, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. And even hyping him up as the company's first third-generation wrestler wasn't doing him any good. But things began to change for the better when The Rock joined the Nation of Domination faction. The best thing that came out of this was not only the improvement inside the ring, but also the promos that The Rock would cut. Nobody knew at the time how effective it was when The Rock cut his promos while referring to himself in the third person. It felt like a breath of fresh air.
Finally, The Rock has come back to New Jersey. So The Rock says this: if you don't write anything else down, you definitely want to write this down if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
The Rock began climbing up the cards and soon found himself in the main event scene, having excellent feuds with the likes of Stone Cold, Mankind and Triple H. With multiple world title wins, The Rock cemented himself as one of the most important pro wrestlers in history before he ventured out into Hollywood. And it seemed like WWE also learned a lesson in how to create a Samoan superstar. However, on the other hand, his cousin, our beloved tribal chief, had a similar career, if not a bit different in terms of time frame. So when Roman Reigns made his explosive debut alongside Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose as part of the Shield, he seemed to tick all the boxes when it comes to becoming the face of the company. And in addition to that, they were given one of the best theme songs and entrances in WWE, as they would enter through the crowd to further hype the audience upon entering the ring.
This right here is my favorite thing ever in the history of forever.
So while the Shield went on a great run, the booking of Roman made it clear that Vince has found his next John Cena. So when the group split up, Roman began to receive a monster push, and just like The Rock in his early days, Roman too struggled with his early babyface run, as it wasn't going to be easy for him to follow in the footsteps of John Cena. After all, he was the complete package, and even Roman admitted that he got destroyed by John, and that changed his whole perspective.
You should be ashamed I'm a part-timer, because I can do this part-time better than you could ever do it full-time.
Essentially, WWE tried its best to push Roman as a top star. However, he struggled with certain characteristics that are important to succeed as the face of the company. One of those has to be the ability to cut a great promo, and boy oh boy did babyface Roman struggle with that.
You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son!
Damn, fam. You got the whole chat laughing.
I said some crazy stuff, which still followed like the suffering succotash. I don't even remember. I just remember it was suffering succotash, and it was like literally 8 years ago, and it will still be brought. I mean, I delivered some really good work over the past few years, and they'll still be like suffering succotash.
Fast forward to 2022, it took a pandemic for Roman and the company to realize that a heel turn was imperative to make it big, as taking the John Cena route to the top simply wasn't working for him. So in a similar fashion to The Rock, a drastic change was decided. So Reigns made an explosive return at SummerSlam in 2022, and at the following Payback pay-per-view, he went on to win the Universal Championship. But the manner in how he won it is what had most fans talking, as he aligned himself with a familiar face.
What were we supposed to think about this Roman Reigns? Days later on SmackDown, it's revealed he's with Paul Heyman. And of course, at Payback, he would go on to win the Universal Championship and change the course of history, not only for his career, but the entire WWE.
It's a new era.
It took nearly 7 years of Roman failing as a babyface to finally get to where we are now. This is how the head of the table gimmick came to life, alongside with the Bloodline drama. In 2020, Jimmy Uso suffered a knee injury at WrestleMania. This left Jay behind as a single star. However, it would end up being a blessing in disguise for Jey Uso, as he would end up challenging Roman for the Universal Championship. And the feud brought out the best in both men, as they had an amazing performance at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And little did we know as the audience that this would lead to something even bigger. So soon after, the Bloodline was formed when the Usos joined hands with the Tribal Chief, and with Paul Heyman by their sides, it seems as though WWE had finally gotten the formula right by creating the ultimate final boss within WWE. And during this epic run, he would slowly pick off one by one every top star within the company and any rising star in addition to that. To name a few: Goldberg, Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio, Demon Finn Balor,
Hey yo, what the?
Edge, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, John Cena, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, and finally Brock Lesnar all fell within the first 2 years of Roman becoming the head of the table. Simply put, a run like this hadn't been seen since the days of Hulk Hogan, and Roman himself would address this when cutting a promo to the audience.
There's no one left. Wise man, there is no one left. I told them over 2 years ago that I'm here to wreck everyone, and then I'm leaving.
Fans would have mixed feelings upon this run, as he was beating everyone on the roster. But that being said, the audience also seemed to be invested in seeing him either on SmackDown or a pay-per-view, as it felt special. This whole run has this aura around it, similar to the Undertaker's streak, where you're always wondering who's going to be the guy to beat him, which leads us to... Before things could have gotten stale, Triple H made an excellent booking decision in including Sami Zayn into the stable. He proved to be a breath of life, and his on-screen chemistry with Jey Uso was something else.
Sorry, I just forgot to say. You know that thing we talked about earlier? Yeah. Big. I'll tell you all about it later. Okay?
He just hasn't been very Usy.
All of this kept the storyline going strong, as it was the most layered and nuanced thing going on in WWE at the time, as they managed to create must-watch TV for the world to see with this long-term storytelling. Heck, even John Cena agreed with it.
Have him not be able to craft what he wants to say is a young man trying to find his way. Fast forward to where he doesn't have to say a fucking word. You could just see a different human being. And everyone watching was like, he doesn't have to go out there and say suffering succotash anymore.
That being said, Jey Uso's trust within both Sami and Roman started to show. With Sami, it was easy. He wasn't family at the end of the day. And with Roman, the question was over the manipulation of him and his leadership for letting someone like Sami into the group. It's safe to say the entire storyline of Sami trying to win Roman's approval was one of the best storylines from the past 10 years. But the inevitable breakup at that year's Royal Rumble will go down in the history books because it was the moment that Sami finally stood up for himself and smashed the chair against Roman. It was very reminiscent of when Seth did the same to him when breaking up the Shield. Now, while Sami had huge momentum behind him and many fans wanted him to challenge Roman at that year's Mania, that honor was given to Cody Rhodes. And while the build up to Roman versus Rhodes may have seemed straightforward, that was far from the truth, as WWE always had it in mind that The Rock would ultimately be the one to take down Roman. Which brings us to,
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
it was a known secret that WWE wanted Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania 39, particularly because it was being held in Hollywood that year. But due to a scheduling issue, The Rock was unable to perform, which finally gave the green light for Cody Rhodes' story to begin. And while the American Nightmare came up short that year, it didn't stop him from pursuing his story. But at the same time, that didn't stop WWE from teasing the potential bout between the two Samoans. So with this conundrum, we finally got to see the Great One in the flesh on an episode of SmackDown in September of 2023. Whilst the fans were in awe to see him, nothing significant happened as he just played to the crowd. But it's what happened before the show on the Pat McAfee podcast that had people going.
The Rock headlining WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, SoFi Stadium, that was locked potential of what this match could be between myself and Roman Reigns headlining WrestleMania at SoFi. And we shook hands and we hugged right there, all three of us at the table, and said, let's do this. So we got really, really close, but we couldn't actually nail what that thing was. So there's WrestleMania in Philadelphia.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that that's a potential too. So I'm open.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
Gets the people going.
So at the start of 2024, WWE finally pulled the trigger and announced that a former WWE champion will be returning to the show. But this time, the promo that The Rock delivered was less cryptic but more to the point.
Should The Rock sit at the head of the table?
Fast forward to that year's Royal Rumble, Cody would go on to be the first back-to-back winner ever since Stone Cold. So the narrative seemed clear now for many. Cody versus Roman 2 at WrestleMania 40 to finish his story and win the title his father never did made all the sense in the world. However, there was a plot twist, as the new owner of WWE had a different idea. Many believe the company didn't need The Rock at this point, as the story was perfectly set up for Cody, but it can't be denied that his star power and his heel run has only spiced things up for everyone. And while the turn wasn't originally planned, all that changed thanks to the Cody crybabies out there. Because of them, we're getting the best version of Dwayne Johnson in a very long time.
It's the Cody Crybabies, and these are grown-ass men, and Cody gotta finish his story. Because you were a mistake. I tell it to my mommy. You ain't giving anybody anything.
Rock, I don't think you're a heel. I think you're an... Have all that big Dwayne energy, or is it just gonna be LDS? Little Syndrome.
On the 25th of March episode of Raw, The Rock attacked and busted open Cody. This made many fans believe that we were entering an Attitude Era 2.0, and because of it, this WrestleMania is shaping up to be one of the most hyped up tag team matches ever. The reason is simple: the Bloodline has changed everything when it comes to storytelling.
What do you mean by that?
Traditional storytelling usually plays out on each episode of Raw on SmackDown to further develop a character or narrative. However, the build to this year's WrestleMania, Cody, The Rock, and Roman have been going at it in a different manner. For one, The Rock has been using social media platforms to cut more realistic promos before SmackDown, and it's only helping in garnering more interest with hundreds of millions of views. On top of that, because it's not being broadcast on TV, it allows Dwayne to cut loose a little more, something he wouldn't be able to do had the segment aired on SmackDown.
The Rock embarrassed you in front of the world, boy.
Slap the shit out of you. You had it coming. Talk shit about my family again.
Secondly, the use of social media. It's fair to say we wouldn't have gotten this far had the fans not cried out for Cody Rhodes on Twitter for a straight week. Thirdly, the rules they're breaking on Raw and SmackDown when cutting their promos on each other. We all know both shows are PG rated. However, calling each other assholes, little dicks, or even referring to paying for sex, all of which heightened the situation. And while they may have gotten in trouble for it, it seemed to be worth it.
And The Rock is going to take this belt and he's going to beat your son. He's gonna beat the piss out of your son, and The Rock is gonna make your son bleed.
At WrestleMania, I think you're just Roman's side chick.
But more importantly, it's the creative control these three stars have been given. It's a known fact that Paul Heyman is an amazing storyteller, but the influence he's had in creating and building the character of the tribal chief must be credited, as he's managed to accomplish something that cannot be replicated in Roman Reigns, as he's by far one of the biggest superstars WWE has had in recent times.
The early run here with Roman, this is the highest level I can be. I consider this more accountability, more responsibility, a bigger platform, a bigger job than I was executive director of Raw. But the Universal and the WWE Championships on, not that I'd be a good champion, because I wouldn't be. But if you did, it wouldn't be as big as what I'm doing right here with Roman Reigns. This is the biggest thing I could be doing. I am attached to the hip of the undisputed, uncontroverted #1 superstar in not only WWE, but in all of sports entertainment.
And while Roman and Cody will go on to have a main event that will be remembered forever, as the booking was very reminiscent of Stone Cold and The Rock's encounter at WrestleMania 17, with multiple interferences and shenanigans. But it's safe to say WWE achieved everything they wanted with this Bloodline run, and that was to increase the audience and appeal globally. In a similar case to the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era, this Bloodline era will be remembered for years, considering it saved WWE during the pandemic times. And in terms of The Rock and Roman, the similarities between their careers can be seen, although they had different roads to the mountain top, and the coming together of them two feels very reminiscent of Stone Cold and The Rock, that being two megastars bringing the house down once again. But more importantly, I think if WWE can learn anything from this saga, it would be that the company has realized that long-term storytelling with compelling characters is far more popular with audiences and the mainstream media, something that Triple H is well known for, considering he booked Asuka, Gunther, the Usos and Roman in similar fashion, all as dominating champions. But let me know what you think in the comment section below about this whole new era of WWE, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe.